Today, Halloween is a largely secular holiday, known for carved pumpkins and scary costumes more than any particular religious observance. But Halloween traces its roots back more than 1,000 years, and is related particularly to the ancient festival of Samhain. Samhain was one of the 4 seasonal festivals celebrated in Gaelic Ireland, and it signalled the beginning of winter, time to take stock of the livestock and slaughter those needed for food over the cold months. In Annals of the Four Masters, a history of Ireland written by Christian monks, it is claimed that the festival of Samhain was linked to the Celtic god Crom Cruach. The text tells of King Teigen attempts to appease the god with sacrifices, firstborn children, whom he murdered by smashing their heads against stone idols of Crom Cruach. Samhain was also believed to be a day when the doors between reality and the other world were opened, and supernatural creatures were free to walk the earth. Among these were the Aes Sídhe, supernatural creatures of Celtic mythology, which were believed to live in a parallel world that coexisted alongside Earth, while remaining invisible to mortal eyes. It was common during Samhain to appease the Aes Sídhe by leaving them portions of food and drink in order to ensure that livestock would survive through the winter. Samhain even had its own early version of trick-or-treating. Known as mumming or guising, the tradition saw children visit homes door to door, reciting songs in return for gifts of food. They would, of course, be in costumes. These were designed to imitate, or to ward off, the Aes Sídhe. Samhain has since come to be celebrated as one of the 4 great feasts on the Wheel of the Year, an annual cycle of celebrations observed by followers of Wicca and neo-paganism, and lives on in the traditions that still continue to this day. One thing, however, is completely different from its modern counterpart: its title. The name Halloween is a contraction of All Hallows' Eve, the day preceding the Christian celebration of All Saints' Day. Also known as Hallowmas, from the word hallow, a synonym for saint, All Saints' Day is a day dedicated to celebrating the saints, and is followed by All Souls' Day, a day to remember and pray for the dead, on November 2nd. Together, these 3 holidays form a triadem called All Hallowtide, or simply Hallowtide, and this 3-day celebration spawned its own take on the tradition of trick-or-treating. Children, and often people stricken by poverty, would make door-to-door visits trading prayers for the dead in return for soul cakes, traditional, small desserts baked in celebration of Hallowtide. The origin of Halloween's most iconic symbol, the jack-o'-lantern, is less certain, but the tradition may trace its roots back to guisers during Samhain, who would carve grotesque faces into turnips. The name jack-o'-lantern is an alternative name for will-o'-the-wisp, a legendary phenomenon in which travelers late at night witness a ghostly atmospheric light that flickers through the trees and vanishes upon approach. In its original form, All Saints' Day was celebrated on May 13th, but it was instead celebrated on November 1st from the year 835, when the date was altered by Pope Gregory IV. The exact reasons for this change are unknown, but some people believe it is due to Celtic influence, that the feast was moved to coincide with the celebration of Samhain, fusing the 2 together into what we now know as Halloween. You just heard an excerpt from the Zoinks podcast. Search for Zoinks on your favourite podcast app to hear it in full, or subscribe here on YouTube for highlights and bonus videos. And remember to tap the bell to make sure you don't miss anything. You can also find a bunch of extra content on our website, daffodillies.co.uk/zoinks.